Yeah. All right. I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and quite honestly, you know what? Doing the players presents the great debate, that kind of screwed me up because I kind of woke up thinking today was Friday.
Yeah, I do totally get that. I take more the approach. I thought we already did the episode.
It kind of did feel it, although there was some really important components missing to the great debate that are
Oh yeah,
standard for the
yeah.
CRM player. Well, one, we may be missing it again today because there's no moment of Sven at the moment.
What?
What's going on here, Sven?
He showed up at the happy hour. Where the
Is
hell
he
is
out
he?
on strike or something? I mean,
I
what's
don't
going
know,
on?
man. Maybe
Maybe
we'll
he's
have to double his pay.
maybe yeah. Wait, maybe
We'll
he's run out of
double his pay.
languages. Maybe that's
That's
it.
right.
Think of any more languages.
He's out. Sven, use obscure dialects. We'll be okay with that.
I don't recall a Pig Latin greeting yet, but
No, actually, but now he's going to do it, and we'll know it.
yeah, that's it is what it is. But yes, we are the CRM players, and yeah, that was some fun stuff. Yesterday we did with the great debate. It was a fun debate.
Yeah,
It didn't get as you know. Uh,
let's say
what's a good word? It wasn't as bombastic, maybe.
or what's a no, and not anchorous. What's the word?
Amorous? No, not
No,
amorous.
no. I hope not. I hope not. Holy cow!
Cantankerous?
No, what's the word? Rancorous.
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 That's the word I was thinking of. Rancorous. Yeah, rancor means like poisonous nastiness.
Definitely didn't get to that level, but
No.
it was vigorous.
Yes, it was.
I'll say
And it
that.
was humorous.
Are we trying to rhyme?
Yeah, we're trying to get OUSs at the end of every word we use.
But it was good. It was fun.
It was. We had a
and-
really good team, man. And they all of them get along really well.
They absolutely do, which is great for us. And but you know what? Before we launch into kind of our housekeeping,
Oh, yes. You got it.
right? I always like to pop this up. Yes, we are the CRM players. We've been binging the ass, bringing the ass since 2009. 15 years of as bringing.
And that means in November, celebrating that 15-year anniversary, we are having IRL 2024 at the Atlanta Tech Village, November 11th and 12th. You will see a lot more on that coming very soon.
Absolutely. Like very soon.
Be prepared, though. Atlanta, November 11th and 12th. Pay attention. We want you there.
But
IRL.
And there'll be definitely more info to come on that. But you know what? There's a bit of breaking news that happened not too long before we're starting the show here. I don't know if you caught this, but it's something that I think we may have had maybe just the slightest of role in.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't caught it.
All right. Well, this is going to make you extremely happy. Here it is. John Tashik posted about an hour ago. He is happy to share that starting a new position as Chief Market Strategy Officer at Salesforce. How about that?
So he is now C-level.
Yes. He's a CMSO.
CMSO. Yes, he is. And I am sure, as I know you are, that his appearance on the Playaz is what was the thing that put it over the edge.
It's funny you should say that because I did leave a comment after seeing this posted on his LinkedIn profile, and I did congratulate him, of course, and it's well deserved.
Oh my God, yeah,
extremely well deserved. But I did kind of mention it maybe being on the Playaz this last time might have had a little something to do with it.
I think it had everything to do with it.
But that's awesome news.
That's makes my week. The Yankees are losing 7-1, and this literally makes me okay with that.
Wow, that says a lot.
You're not kidding. Now, on the other hand, it would make me okay if the Knicks lose tonight.
Ooh, no, yeah, that's been a great series.
It has been, and the refs have been awful. We basically got a game because of that, and then they got the last game because of the refs not calling it traveling on Tyrese Maxey.
So I guess that means it's evened out.
Yeah, more or less. Have to call it even.
All right, but first, yeah, congrats to John.
Yeah.
Fairly happy and excited. Does that mean maybe Minnie gets a promotion to something? Or?
Chief, what?
I don't know. We'll have to find out if
Chief food eater.
Minnie's in the mix for a promotion or something.
Right. Chief food eater.
But anyway, let me see. We got a couple of housekeeping items. I'm like 2 for 2 today, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, a double header of sorts, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one too. Both of these teams, teams, you can see what my head is. Both of these companies are PPN sponsors, just so you all know. Then we have a great lineup at ServiceNow. We're still a little not sure who we're going to be talking to at Creatio No Code Days coming up on the 9th and 10th, but at ServiceNow, we know who we are talking to, and it is killer. First of all, we're talking to the very first player in residence ever, and of course, leading CX probably the thought leader in CX, if not that, certainly in the top 1 or 2 or 3. Brian Solis, who's also running global innovation for them. We're talking to Nick Sitson, who's their chief strategy officer, is a wonderful guy. Terrence Cesare, who has been there a long time in the customer workflows group. A brilliant guy. Actually, to me, not necessarily there, but generally an underappreciated real thinker, right? He's really an amazing guy at so many levels. And then finally, Michael Ramsey, who's like the number 2 guy in customer workflows. I mean, this is a great group of people, and we'll be talking to every one of them. It won't be live streamed. It'll be pre-recorded, but we will have that uploaded very quickly, so you'll be able to see it without a whole lot of lag time.
Yeah, and they're even building out our own studio just for us.
Yeah, sort of.
No, looking forward to that though, seriously. And of course, Miami with No Code Days.
Yeah, what's the hotel that's at again? The JW Marriott something
Nice. I know that much.
Yes, it's a JW Marriott resort.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks really amazing. Actually, do we have rooms yet set up?
That's a good question.
I don't remember being registered for rooms there.
I don't either. Maybe we better find out.
Yeah,
we might be sleeping on the beach.
That's right. Bring your sunblock.
Yeah.
Right,
and also next week, we're working on the details on this, but hey, it's a watch party.
Yeah, and this one's different, even though it's the same. I mean, you see pretty much the 3 of us on all the watch parties because Rebecca's typically at the same conferences that Brent and I are at, and of course she is a leading player in residence. But of course, as many of you know, she now has her own show, one of 4 hosts, called The Crunch. And what we've decided to do is try to do, I guess it's called both shows broadcasting the watch party of the 3 of us and whoever guests we bring in simultaneously to both streams, be the show, CRM Playaz, and the Crunch streams. So this should be really interesting. We're not technically 100% sure on what we're doing with it yet, but we will, and we don't even know where exactly we're doing it, but we know we're doing it. So stay tuned for this one. It's an interesting experiment also in format, and tells you that PPN now, with the launch of the Great Debate, has, I believe it's 11 shows now, or 10 shows, 10 or 11 shows.
A lot of shows.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of shows.
And you'll see big changes to the website over the next few weeks, addressing all that.
Absolutely. And speaking of those, multitudes of shows, so earlier today, I had an opportunity to spend a few good minutes with Francis Carden. By the way, he's another Godfather. He's he was bestowed the title of Godfather of RPA.
Wow.
Yeah. So
now, what if he was bestowed the title of Godfather of IPA?
That would be even cooler, I think.
I think about it. He was like the beer Godfather.
Is there a Godfather of beer?
I don't know. We need to investigate.
Like one of the Anheuser-Busch folks or a Miller guy. I don't know. Seems like there should be a Godfather beer. Anyway, what was cool about the conversation today was that he sparked. Oh, look! Thank you, Alan. Alan was there. Alan was peppering Francis with questions and comments and stuff. Really appreciate that. But you know, he is the Godfather RPA. He was the VP of automation for a number of years at Pega before Pega bought his company OpenSpan. So he's been doing this stuff for like ever. And he posted this thing about he thinks and he like followed up with exclamation point that the days of the enterprise application developers are coming to an end. And it was such an emphatic statement, you know, with the exclamation point. I thought, you know, we said, why don't we throw this one out to our great debate panelists from yesterday? And here's a little bit of what they had to say about this.
No exclamation point, though.
No, we'll see.
RPA, where we were going, think of how that influenced but did not take away the assembly line. Programmers and developers are the assembly line workers of the knowledge universe, right? We're just evolving. They're getting more tools to be faster and more efficient and ideally better quality. But right now, what we're seeing from AI, that's super arguable right now. It's not like there's no humans in an auto plant right now. There's not a single person that is responsible for getting a Tesla off the line or a Chevy or whatever, right? No, not at all. So
trying to wipe those people out, though, but that's more of a labor dispute.
I mean, listen, instant coffee didn't kill coffee. Back in the day, when instant coffee was first developed, everyone was like, the headlines for that were, you're never going to have to grind a coffee.
We're watching the headlines.
Again. Websites were going to kill paper. No one was ever going to print on a piece of paper ever again, throw out all the machines. We're right back to it with the same weird wonder as if we've never seen this before.
You know what's weird about watching that?
What?
It looked like we were just, you know, we were off to the side and then, you know, the videos playing. It looked like we were a part of that conversation twice. Did you notice that? It looked kind of weird.
No, I didn't pay attention. I was watching them. But it was, well, I mean, look, they were basically saying that's not the case. What kind of point did he make about it?
Funny you should ask that, because just so happens I have
picking up the cues.
I have a short clip from my conversation with Francis. Yeah, with Francis earlier today, and I actually ran that clip for him.
Okay.
Wow, this is funny. Yeah, watching CRM. Okay. Thanks. So this is what Francis had to say after I played him that clip. We just talked about 65-year anniversary of COBOL, and there's like 98% of the ATMs are processing transactions with COBOL. There's a lot of stuff out there. To push back to this new, which means I think pretty disruptive, I'm all for it, but there's a significant amount of people who are totally against it. How do you get to where you want to go with that kind of pushback standing in its way?
I remember 8 years ago talking to a blank.
Bank.
They said, we're never going to go cloud 8 years ago. It was a big bank. IT have got our backs. We know how to do this. We'll do it all. Right. And it's all cloud now. And it's not their cloud. It's one of the big three clouds or big four clouds, depending upon where you're coming from, right? And the point is they've given that up as well. The cost of managing that server room with the coolant systems, the cost of just figuring out what operating system and then hiring the people with the expertise with the operating system expertise. You don't have that anymore. You still have the COBOL stuff, yes, but I actually say, just imagine that process as if you were imagining today without any history, that you have a legacy. There would be no digital startups if you have to go buy 6,000 legacy systems written in COBOL, would there?
he's basically saying, yo, it's going to happen. They said it wouldn't happen with the cloud. Everybody moved to the cloud. They said it wouldn't happen with a couple other things, but it happened. So he's saying, hey, you can fight it all you want. It's going to happen. What do you think?
There was literally the opposite, using an opposite example. I mean, Liz saying everyone said it was going to happen and it didn't. And he's saying, well, people are opposing that it's going to happen, but it will. Right. So, I mean, personally, I lean more toward Liz and everybody. I don't see humans being entirely eliminated from enterprise application development. I see a large part of the manual work they have to do being eliminated for sure. A long way to go before we get there, because, prompt engineering is still coding in its own way. It's basically authoring. You remember those tools? Like, you had the no-code, low-code tools, of course, which is you can author applications. Prompt engineering is authoring. Yeah, it's not coding, but it is authoring, and it may change the nature of how an enterprise developer gets done what they have to get done. But I don't think they're not going to be in the picture. I don't think it's just automatically going to be generated by code generating its own code, I don't see that.
Well, I would strongly recommend everybody take a look at that whole show, because it prompted me, and that's no pun intended, because he is so strong and has a lot of stuff to back it up.
You're frozen.
Am I frozen?
Now you're unfrozen. Okay. You were.
Anyway, so I said, Francis, you got to come on and be a part of the great debate at some point. He was like, let me know. So
okay. That's
going to be fun.
Well, that we can get into single topic debates at some point too.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, awesome conversations, awesome stuff coming up next week. We didn't even get a chance to talk about Whispered Insights, because I think he's coming back. Esteban and Bob Stutz are getting back together again. Kind of sounds funny.
They broke up. It's broken up.
Kind of sounded a little funny when I said it like that. But whenever you get those two dudes together, there's going to be some nice fireworks.
Yes,
a few at the end of the days, a few F-bombs, lots of good stuff.
And by the way, I have an idea for a new spinoff of our spinoff. So this is a spinoff from the Great Debate, which are basically 10-minute debate. That's it. And we put it together and we do it for 10 minutes and it's over.
Can we just get through the first spinoff first?
No.
We go through that?
The spinoff.
I like the idea, but wow, that's a plenty of. And look,
it's our short. It's our digital short.
Our guest from the green room is actually
he's chomping at the bit. That's what
chomping.
He's saying.
He's chomping. He's always ready.
He's saying, "I'm ready to go, dudes." That's
but you know what? Before we can actually bring him on, there's one other thing that once again you didn't see on the Great Debate, because that was not a CRM's Playaz.
I know,
but you're going to see it now.
And now it's time for Stump the Godfather with the venerable Paul Greenberg, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
You can just never get enough of Benny. I'll tell you.
My excited response.
And I think I saw our guest in the green room kind of bobbing his head a little bit to the Benny. Anyway, all right. This week's Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. And I better not mess this one up.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I don't mess it up. All right. This is a good one. This is an interesting one. We were talking a little bit about COBOL last week, all these legacy systems. We were talking with Francis about, getting rid of that and going to, this new model of AI and automation and all that kind of stuff for enterprise application development. But today, still, what percentage of the global IT spend remains on premises? Sounds so archaic at this point, but
it does. And plus, you properly named it too, on premises.
Well, okay.
No, that's actually right.
Hey, look, we're already getting people coming in. Alan is saying 35%. Our guest, 33, actually, 33%. So we're at 33%, 35%. Once again, percentage of the global IT spend remains on premises.
The funny thing is they're in the range where I was going, and now I have to figure out to differentiate myself. I have to.
Are you going to go lower or higher?
That's what I have to figure out.
Eric Charles is coming in strong at 60%. Global is the key word. That is the key word.
Yep.
That's key word. Anyway, so we got 35, we got 33, we got 60%. Anybody else out there want to get their guess in before we ask the venerable Paul Greenberg to tell us his guess? Pete Smith, 45%. So we got 33, 35. Wait a minute, I want to make sure. 45 and 60%. Any order takers? Going once. Going twice. Gone. All right. The venerable Paul Greenberg, your answer to this week's Stump the Godfather question of what percentage of the global IT spend remains on premises?
I'll kick it up a little bit to 38.
38%.
Yeah, 38%.
So
the number I actually had in mind was Alan's, but I'm kicking it up to differentiate. I'll kick it up a little higher rather than drop it a little lower.
So you're sitting between Alan and Pete.
Right.
And Eric is at 60%. All right.
In a league of his own.
That was a good movie, by the way. All right. Are we ready for the answer?
Yeah.
The answer to this week's question, Stump the Godfather question,
brought to you by
Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. I just like saying that. Is, and we still didn't get the drum roll.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll get it. And the answer is
85.
85% still on premise.
Even though John had it right when he said global is the key, but that is still.
That's probably why, because if it was just US, it would be probably closer to you got. Well,
yeah,
probably like 20% or something. Wow. 85% of the global IT spend is still being spent on premise. That is huge. You know how far that is to go? If we've been at this for like a couple of decades and it's still only 15% worldwide. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Well, Eric, you know, y'all, we know you're Mr. World Traveler and spending time in Japan and all sorts of places hither and yonder, you know, but congrats to you, Eric. You were the closest by far and still kind of far away from me. Correct answer. 85%.
That's insane.
Are you, how surprised are you at that?
How what?
How surprised are you with that?
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty huge number.
I'm reading.
And you see that came from Amazon, right? That was so that's a legit a source. Oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Columbo season 1 episode.
There's a reason. See, oh man, I gave it away. I gotta get. How do I get rid of
this? I saw that.
There's a reason for this, and I guess gave it away.
Yeah, and I know the reason too. Because of our guests.
Well, it's going to be a good touch. Anyway, so 85% was the right answer. Eric Charles was the closest to it, but quite honestly, every one of you guys was way off.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't have to answer these questions.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Anyway, so that was this week's Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. And now we go to the venerable Paul Greenberg to introduce today's guest.
All right. So this gentleman, Jon Ferrara, is a pioneer, a true pioneer, not a member of the Pioneer Club, right? He is somebody who 35 years ago founded a company called Goldmine, which was one of the, call it early CRM companies, but more so than that, has been a consistent, and I mean over all those years evangelist for customer engagement, for actually treating customers the way they're supposed to be treated, for identifying the customers' needs, wants, desires, and then appropriately defining what the company has to do to meet those. I mean, and he does it smart, right? He does it with conversation. That's the best way to put it. He's I think your nickname for him, Brent, is what? The Right Reverend?
The Right Reverend Jon Ferrara.
Right. And that's a great name for him because he is on that pulpit and he's a great guy. He loves people. And I will tell you what, he's been successful. He really has done what he had to do back then, 35 years ago, but he's never lost the fire to continue to drive, to actually meet the customer where they need to be met, in their self. So with that, let's bring on the Right Reverend Jon Ferrara.
There he is.
There's the man.
Yo, Paul and Brent, thank you so much for inviting me on to have a little conversation about one of my favorite subjects, relationships, and they're key to your success in achieving your life's dreams. Ideally, your life dreams involves helping others achieve theirs, because as the greats have said, that's the way to win.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Getting right into it here. I'm getting hyped already, feeling like the plate is about to be passed.
He's mounting the pulpit. He's on the pulpit.
But before we get too far into this, I kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. But when you posted something on Facebook about joining us, and first of all, there's a lot of people that responded, so that kind of speaks to exactly what Paul was saying.
Yeah,
how much people like you. But one of the things that got posted was this picture. Can you tell us a little bit about why this picture got posted?
Well, so I have an extended friend network, and part of those friends are people in the industry that I love, know, and pour myself into. And other ones are just my childhood friends. And one of them is a dear friend who saw this on a Columbo episode and shared it. That's my father's car lot in North Hollywood. I think that's Lankershim Boulevard, right down the street from Bear's Customizing, where they made the Batmobile. And fun fact is, my dad had the first Subaru dealership in California next to Galpin Ford. And I grew up on a car lot, and I swore on my life I would never be in sales. So my uncle helped invent radar and microwave at MIT, and he pioneered radar and microwave use. And I basically wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to go to space like every other NASA nut in the 60s. And so I studied computer science, but to put myself through school, I had to pay for it. And so because I loved computers, I had in my bedroom 6 or 7 of them when I was going to school.
Wow.
1979. I was one of the first kids in my city who had a computer. I worked at a Computerland store. And because there were no computers on desktops in the 80s, the PC legitimized PCs on desktops, I replaced 300,000 plus terminals with PCs, and I got really good at sales. But what I found was there weren't any tools to manage the process. Light goes off in his head. And a little bit down.
Wait. What made you realize that? Oh, I mean, what was it? Was it like, oh, wow, I just realized that today? Or was it?
Well, you have to think. You have to think about it, Paul. I grew up with the microcomputer at its infancy, and I knew every single program on the market because I worked in a computer store for 4 years of my college, and I sold all the businesses the software they were adopting. And I knew, number one, there was no networkable business software, and that was the key to the future: is Teams, not standalone. And all they really had was VisiCalc. They basically did sales. In fact, they designed the space shuttle engine with VisiCalc back in the day because the engineers couldn't get the IT people to write their COBOL code or Fortran code, whatever it was. So I had to manage my interaction with customers with paper, spiral bound paper. And I said, this is so stupid because I work as part of a team, and I want not only to know what I'm doing or have done with the contacts, but what my entire team has done. And because people don't work in this vacuum, they work as part of a larger team. And I didn't start it then. I went and worked at Hughes Space and Comm and Missile Systems for 2 years, where I not only learned how to sell computers to corporations, but how they adopted them. And from there, I learned a little bit more about the channel and the market. And one of the vendors I picked to automate or connect the, 30,000 PCs that we had at Hughes at the time was Banyan Vines. And after 2 years in aerospace, I said, I'm not an aerospace guy. And I went and got a job as a systems engineer. And after a year of getting $250,000 commission check shoved in my face, I said, okay, fine, I'll go into sales. And so there I was in a district office at Banyan in Dallas. And I looked around for a tool to manage my processes. I had a day timer. I got leads, which were pieces of paper from computer intelligence reports. I made notes on the piece of paper. I cold called people. I put my forecast in the spreadsheet once a month the night before it was due because it wasn't part of my process. And I said, there's got to be a better way. So I looked around and I found SaleMaker, which was a call program where I could put a list of people in and pound the phone. I found this plug-in to Symphony called Act that basically allowed you to manage tasks for contacts for an individual. But what I wanted was a system for not just my team in my district office, but my corporate office as well, because I connect with customers not in the pre-sales, but in the post-sales along all the different departments. I wanted something that integrated email, contact and calendar, and sales and market automation for a team.
Hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that in a second, because I just got to finish a little bit about why this picture was important to me.
Yeah.
Or what stood out to me in this picture.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit, I didn't watch a lot of Columbo.
Peter Falk was the boss.
Yeah.
I was kind of young back in those days. But what stood out to me, although I don't know how this stood out to me, because Ray Milland is probably older than Peter Falk was, but I saw Ray Milland's name at the bottom. So apparently your friend was watching. I don't know if it was like an Amazon Prime thing, but I love how Amazon Prime gives you like who's in the scene. I saw Ray Milland. It's like, Ray Milland.
Yeah.
I know where I know Ray Milland from.
Yeah.
It's from this. It's from The Thing with Two Heads, where this weird movie, and I was a little kid, this freaked me the hell out when I first saw this, with Rosie Greer
Yep.
and Ray Milland stuck together. And you know why that stood out to me is because Rosie Greer
Rams
grew up with my father in South Georgia. We went to high school together. And of course, Rosie is one of the fearsome foursome.
Yeah, and for me, I know him from the Giants. I know him from the Giants.
But the last part of this is,
but that's how you know.
The tagline to this movie. They transplanted a white bigot's head on a soul brother's body.
Oh,
that was
you gotta love the 70s soul movies.
That's how you know Ray Milland.
That's how I think of Ray Milland, because he was.
Oh my
his
God.
head was attached to Rosie Greer's body. Have you ever seen that movie, Paul? Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't want to. I definitely don't want to.
This is the kind of movie that would be in the drive-in, right? When you go to the drive-in and they have these B movies that nobody pays attention to because we're all busy doing something else.
That's why I'm here, folks. That's why I'm here. All right, so I had to go through that. Now, let's get back to the subject at hand. All right, this picture. Tell me about this picture. Tell us about this picture, when it was taken, and why were you juggling the software?
Because I was a magic man. We're lucky enough to tell stories and get other people to tell those stories. And that's how we built the Goldmine brand, because I didn't know how to advertise and I didn't have the money to do it. And so we grew ourselves out of an apartment in Canoga Park across from Joe Weider's Muscle Magazine to what you see behind you is you see ocean. So basically that is a building that overlooks Gladstones, overlooks dolphins swimming in the ocean. And we built our way there as a team by earned media, honestly. And so this was a cover of, I think, Forbes or Fortune, and they found out an amazing photographer. And the way that they did this, because I said there's no Photoshop here, is they taped the boxes to the window overlooking the ocean, And this lady literally used probably 30 lights to light it perfectly so everything was in balance, not indifferent than my avatar that I have on LinkedIn. That LinkedIn was kind of doing a Microsoft conference where they shot my headshot with all this beautiful light. So I'm juggling these boxes of Goldmine that I trademarked, turn your contacts into gold, because that's what it was. And if you see on the box, it says #1 rated contact manager. And I really sort of went to market with Workgroup Contact Manager, which differentiated ourselves from everything else, because I was always focused on the team. My dad told me it's teamwork that wins games. And I made it my passion to empower teams. But also, we, like I shared, we're really good at telling stories and building community and getting people to tell those stories. And I'll tell you the secret how we moved out of that apartment in Canoga Park into the Palisades, eventually Pacific Palisades, is we identified the key influence of our core constituency, our prospects. And those were small businesses that were using networks and looking for a business application and drive on them. Because you have to think about it. There was no Outlook. There was no market automation. There was no CRM. There was no Salesforce automation. Basically, people used Outlook Express and spreadsheets. And so we were the first program that integrated email, contact, and calendar, blah, blah, blah. So how do you sell small businesses something they don't know they need? Because I worked at Bain, and one of my jobs was to go and recruit Novell resellers. I knew they had the relationship, and all I had to do is get them to use it, because people sell what they know and they know what they use. And that's how they became our channel. And then I shifted that channel into Microsoft when Microsoft ate Novell, because Microsoft doesn't innovate, they iterate. They wait for somebody else to build the market. They come on and it's big enough. They use their muscle, billions of users and hundreds of thousands of hours to build something good enough. And they eat companies like Borland and WordPerfect and Ashton Tate. And so I knew they were going to eat Novell, and they came out with NT Server, which is NT Server, SQL Server, and Exchange Server. And it basically matched my customers need to scale, because DBase didn't scale into billions of, millions of records. And POP and IMAP didn't scale for email productivity. And the server, Novell server, wasn't really an enterprise server. So we built Goldmine Enterprise, which required a seat of NT Server, SQL Server, and Exchange Server. And we basically were the third-party solution that drove first-party adoption of Microsoft's crown jewel. And when you're driving Microsoft crown jewels, guess what? They drive you. And that's how we got to our 100 million plus a year in revenue, is by navigating the shifts in the channel. And the funny thing is my journey with Nimble, Google is Novell and Microsoft is Microsoft in that story, which I effectively replicated again.
Well, I remember back when I was first I worked for this company called Livewire out of West Newton, Massachusetts, and it was a little company. It was PeopleSoft PeopleSoft higher ed company. It's about $4 or $5 million. And I had to find a strategy for it, and this is how I found CRM originally. And I began reading a lot of analyst reports while I was there, and one of them was from Aberdeen Group, and I remember it was one that said that you guys had acquired a company called Heat, and it's speculated that you would become the Siebel of the mid-market. That was their words, actually. I remember it, which struck me unusually. And the thing that made me interested in you wasn't that, because that's Aberdeen, but was really the fact that you were networked. Well, yeah, exactly. And it was that you were networked. Right. And I didn't see anything like that out there at the time. Nothing.
And Paul, more than networked, because not only were we networked in a work group or a division, but we built synchronization, which was harder than Shawshank Redemption guy crawling through that shit pipe. So synchronization means that a guy in a notebook in the field can synchronize to a district office and synchronize to the corporate office every single field level change, including pending and completed in the contact record, including deals, including the market automation that we had built. And so synchronization was the key to becoming the standard at 50 of the Fortune 500. And not only that, but people sort of see Goldmine as one of the pioneers of contact management, which is what I'm most proud of, and CRM and SFA. But what they don't remember is that we trademarked automated processes 30 years ago, which was if this and that for people and companies. So if you put a contact in your Goldmine, which I built this Perl script to grab web leads back in the earliest of days, it would automatically put them on a track. Day 1, do this. Day 7, do that. If this happens, stop this and start a nurture track. And so we did also market automation before there were market automation systems. And that's what made the system sticky, because it was the heart and soul of a business, and they tied it into everything. And once you're connected to everything within a company system, they'll never pull you out. In fact, Bill Clinton used Nimble, Goldmine, to get elected twice because they used it to go out in the field and pound constituents and raise money. It became the White House database, which I was very proud of. But Hillary still uses Goldmine because she don't trust the cloud.
She's part of the 85%.
By the way, I just got to say, would you say they used it to pound? That sounded kind of funny. But anyway, I get what you're talking about. But I just got to point out this one. This is kind of unbelievable to me. This one comment from, of all people, Esteban Kolsky loved the thing with 2 heads.
He's a liar. I don't think Esteban ever saw that movie. He's too young to have seen that movie.
He said
I think he's talking about something else.
Can you imagine?
In Spanish.
In
Okay.
Spanish?
Even worse.
All right. I forgot that he's from
Argentina.
Portugal or Spain.
Argentina.
Right. I left my heart.
No.
All right, I had to say that. I had to bring that. All right. So 35 years. You are literally 35 years in on
Do I look it?
management. Of course, no, you
look
actually
the same
great.
as your
Yeah,
picture.
absolutely, you do. I was wondering if you're gonna come with the mustache, but I see you shaved it. So.
You know, my wife wasn't a huge fan of the mustache, and I put the mustache on during COVID. Actually, it was when the Rams were making their run. Remember that run where they beat those like 4 or 5 teams to get to the Super Bowl? I'll
Yes.
tell you what, that was the best of times, baby.
Right.
And I had a mustache when I was younger, and I kind of dug it, but she didn't. And a smart man listens to his wife.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. 35 years in. What did you have any expectation that what you were doing back 35 years ago would lead to what has happened with the growth of CRM and CX and all the platforms, and companies like Salesforce would go from 0 to what are they, like 40 billion in revenue over a span of 20-25 years? What
No.
did you imagine any of this?
Well, I did, in the way that people adopted products like Goldmine, and let's just mention Act, because they were with us and, motion by motion.
Yep.
And I think we pushed each other, right? But the thing you got to remember about products like Goldmine is that we were Outlook before they existed. And the heart and soul of Goldmine was a contact management that powered a customer-facing business team member to engage more effectively, to be successful. And I think that's where we lost our way. If you think about Siebel, when it came out almost as a reaction to the Acts and Goldmines that people were using. They wanted to command and control the database. And by that time, Outlook had already copied Goldmine and became Outlook as the contact tool for corporations. So they never built contact management as a serious thing into CRM. Even though CRM stands for customer relationship management, I think it should stand for customer reporting management. The reason they call it Salesforce, you have to force salespeople to use it. And I don't think that most people, I think today, and Paul, you can help me with this stat, there's 225 million global businesses, less than 1% use any CRM. Most people's CRM today is still their email inbox, LinkedIn, and a spreadsheet. So did I see this happening? I'll tell you what, after 10 years of running Goldmine, I had to give up so much of my life. And I saw an opportunity to sell it for cash right in 99 before that whole tech bubble hit. And I felt the market was wrong. Like the market didn't feel right. It was fluffy. And I said, I can sell this thing for more money I'll ever spend in my life. And I'd go spend time doing what's important in life, which is being a present father, husband, and member of my community. And I snatched the chance. And I'll tell you what, I grew more as a human being those 10 years as a dad than I did in my previous 40. But more importantly, I sold Goldmine the month that Salesforce announced themselves, roughly speaking, 1999. And I looked at it and I said, the cloud? Ha! You gotta be kidding me. Nobody's gonna trust the cloud. You can't rely on DSL modems and dial-ups and stuff. That's why we built synchronization. But Mark proved me wrong. I have to say, I really respect Mark. What Mark Benioff has done with Salesforce. He poured every single dollar he had into more salespeople, even though it was basically break even or slightly losing money, to dominate the industry. And he did a good job of it. But I really believe that sales CRMs like Pipedrive, like Salesforce, and the majority of the rest of them on the market have lost their way when it comes to relationship management. So what I like to say about Nimble is that it's the CRM for the whole company, not just salespeople. And it's a relationship-focused CRM with not just outcomes as deals, because every single relationship that you guys go into isn't about a dollar. It's about some repeatable process that you achieve some sort of measurable business goal. And that's why we built workflows in the Nimble, is to help the whole team manage relationships across the entire departments, and to be able to manage the outcomes that are repeatable people and company business processes, to get outcomes that are other than the dollar related. Because most companies, it's less than 5% of the people in sales. What does the rest of the company do? Nothing. They use Microsoft and Google. And is Microsoft and Google good contact managers? No. Why? Because every single team member has a separate contact database, and those contacts don't have all the background information on who did what and whom, and who's going to do what with whom. And so you don't have a system of record of relationships in the business. And that's what Nimble is really focused on in this market.
So how do you see things like, given the entire history of things like or the evolution of things like Microsoft?
Evolution of what, Paul? You broke up.
Of things like Microsoft Teams.
I love Teams. I really believe that collaboration tools are the key to success in businesses. And Teams is eating Zoom's lunch. And I think that's one of the reasons why Zoom did an integration with email and calendar, to try to, because the whole point of having a meeting is to drive some sort of relationship, communication, and follow-up resulting action. So the thing that Zoom's missing is a contact record. The thing that I think Teams is missing is good integration with a team contact record. But all that being said, as you know, Paul, we started out as a add-on to Google email, contact, and calendar, the productivity suite. And Microsoft basically ate Google by coming out with Microsoft 365. And so we saw early on that was going to happen, because history repeats itself. And I built relationships with people, integrations with the products, got us access to the programs, and Microsoft is our global reseller. So we're the simple CRM for Microsoft 365, the middle ground between Outlook and Dynamics. Here's a fun fact. Microsoft gives Dynamics to every single one of its resellers. None of them use it.
But I found these results on
or sell it. Why? Because it's too big and complex for the majority of Microsoft's mid-market users or small business users. And so the Microsoft team members, the resellers, currently sell plumbing to plumbers. They sell IT infrastructure to IT decision makers. They don't sell front or back office solutions in general. But Microsoft knows that they don't build a robust cloud of third-party solutions to drive their first-party solutions. They want to achieve their numbers. So they're building these cloud things in the distributors where there's no more boxes. And they want to drive front and back office solutions that drive their Azure and all their other tools. And but the resellers are still not really up to speed with selling solutions. And I ran through this before with the Novell, converting them from network resellers to solution sellers. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Microsoft's is really hard to do.
Yeah.
It's rather apparent that you're still pretty psyched about this stuff. You're very energized. You're 35 years in, but most people would never imagine that being the case. When you see the developments of the last couple of years, particularly, you can't escape what's going on with Gen AI and with OpenAI and their partnership with Microsoft and what it's kind of birthed over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
How do you see that in respect to what you can do, as Nimble can do, as as the industry can do to create, as you like to say, better relationships and not better reporting?
So I think the more digital we get, the more human we need to be. And I think the key to life success today is to be more human. Do you see my background? You see the books on my wall, the records, the degree of the school I went to. This is how you connect with another human being. That you share your areas of commonality in order to build intimacy and trust, to get them to open up to you about their life issues so you can solve them. That's our job. We're here to help other human beings grow at scale. That's your job as a human being. And by doing so, you grow. And so I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but a year after I sold Goldmine, I got a head tumor, almost died. And in the process of getting healed, I did a spiritual work. And I came to the conclusion that I'm on this planet to grow my soul. And the best way for me to do that is help other people grow theirs. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. I intend to power tens of millions of other people to achieve their dreams. And I think I'm going to do that by powering their relationships. So what do I think about AI and all that? I think it's great. I mean, it makes me sound better than I've ever sounded because I'm a math computer science major. I wasn't an English major, and it can do a lot of things. But what it can't do is make you stand out in a human way. And it still takes work to do that. And you got to do your homework before a meeting. And then you got to go in there and you got to ask good questions and then listen and shut the F up, because people will tell you what they need. And if you listen, they'll love you because people love to be heard. And AI doesn't really do that. I mean, maybe it will one day, but I think AI has its purposes. But Paul and Brent, do you get those automated emails that basically pound you in sequence where it feels like a robot's talking to you?
Well, and it eventually is a robot talking.
Right.
Now, instead of that, if I went and looked at your backgrounds and found something significant of commonality and then reached out with clarity of why I want to connect and what value I might add, it's going to stand out from that automated crap. And you might see it, especially if I dance in your digital footprint and paid you forward over time across your channels where I'm adding value to your voice and community. That is essentially the way I built the Nimble brand and why I built Nimble, because I started to do that back in 2008, 9, and 10. And I saw how social processes are going to help us change the way we buy, sell, work, and play. And I wanted to build something that powered our way to dance with other human beings at scale, which at the time pioneered social selling and social CRM. But you know what? When technology becomes ubiquitous, it disappears. So back in the day, we used to think about circulation pumps and water heaters and all that. Now we turn on the faucet, it's just water, right? So when social first came out, it was social CRM and social selling and social marketing. Guess what? It's just marketing and sales again, right? And so technology, social's ubiquitous, so it's disappeared, the social stuff. And we're getting back to the basics. And the basics is about being human and focusing on relationships, that really focusing on finding ways to add value and help other people grow at scale. It's really as simple as that in life.
So, well, okay. So to your point, to multiple points, take that email you were talking about earlier. You have automated email, which is just annoying and is generic.
Yeah.
You have a personalized email, which means whatever automated processes went out, found something out about you that they then generate into the email, which is still sort of annoying.
Unless you do it yourself.
Well, but that was my third point, which is that's not personalized to me, that's humanized. Right. But the problem there is how do you do? Yeah, exactly. How do you do that at scale?
Well, Paul and Brent, I would love to walk you through how we do PR/influencer marketing at Nimble at scale using databases like Muckrack, like Cision, but Muckrack's just a little bit better. And we identify people in publications and influencers and podcasters, YouTubers, whoever, people that have a voice and reach and resonance around our constituency, around our area of promise of our products and services. And we build processes to reach out to them in a human way and then outreach to them with emails that are personalized. And we have automation that helps us with some of that, but a lot of it involves snippets of humanity. So you need to basically go and walk in somebody's footprint and build a snippet of humanness that leads your email, that sets you apart from just a generic blast. Because if you just generic blast people, you're going to get the generic response.
Oh yeah, no question. But actually, also to the point on where the PR influencer thing gets tricky, however, even though the general idea is good, a lot of those influencers are self-proclaimed, and a lot of the data, it's not real data, it's just information out there, will support that even though it's false.
So to that point, Paul, I don't rely on data to find influencers. I rely on data to find writers and publications that are touching my constituency in around the areas of my products and services or features I'm doing. So we just released sequences, as a matter of fact. And so we're doing outreach to people that write about things like outreach and SalesLoft and SDR stuff. But to your point, it just slipped out of my mind. It's right there. You were saying, Paul, give me a little prompt.
Okay, so as I said, the influencers.
Oh yeah, I got it. So you're not going to find the difference between Brian Solis, Brian Kramer, and Paul Greenberg in a database. In fact, they got you wrong in decision. That's one of the things I do. I go and look for people I know, and I see how they represent them. And you guys aren't represented really well. That's why I like Muckrat, because you go update the database and own it to control what you look like if you do want to talk to people. But for influencers, the best way to find them is to dance in the river where people are swimming to learn and grow in the topics and conversations around your products and services. That's how we met originally, is because I started to dance in Twitter and other places. And I saw your guys' voice, and you stood out from the crowd because you vibrated differently than, say, the masses. That's how you find them. But it takes work, But you know what? I got time, and I love the work. I love the work.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned dancing in the river, and I remember you saying that years ago. That's one of those. That's part of the reason why you are the right reverend. The river back then for me was Twitter.
Yeah.
The river for me right now is definitely not Twitter.
Thank you, Elon.
Yeah. It's not Twitter at all.
No.
And I think there's been a transition from Twitter to LinkedIn. And that's where I do most of I think we all do most of our dancing. And it seems to me that, if I was, maybe I was an influential at one point and on Twitter, not anymore, but I'm still talking and doing the same things. It's just on a different channel.
Yep.
How has that changed over the years from when you first, like, being able to dance in the right river, have the right conversation?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, my original river in my journey of connecting with others at scale were BBSs. I dialed into them. And then it became CompuServe and Prodigy, and then it became AOL, and then it became, the list goes on. And when I was a young man, I had hair down to here, like,
I've seen the picture.
I saw the picture.
and I wore suede, and the clothes changed, but you would not miss me as the man I was in high school to the man I am today. I'm the same man. And so the places the conversations can change, but you can still, if you're perceptive enough, if you're present enough, see the people who vibrate, who are the right people for you to connect to. But you can't connect with the purpose to bag and tag. Service is the new sales, and your job as a salesperson is to help people grow, even if it is to recommend a competitor's product.
And the congregation said, amen. Amen. I gotta put that in there. Hey, this has been great. As usual, it's been a little while, but it's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
And you know what's the best part about this? We don't have to do the last question. We don't have to, have any suspense about this person may or may not be a Patriots fan. We already know what kind of fan this guy is and who he's a fan of, as I tip my cap to him right there. So awesome conversation. If you want to give us maybe one last thing, where do you see things going? Let's say the next 5 or 10 years. What you've been at this for 35. What is the next 5 supposed to be like?
Here's my prediction. I think we're all going to go back to having our own personal CRM, because the CRM that they give you at work isn't your CRM. It's the business's CRM. And I think that you should have your own CRM and take it to work with you and have it work in conjunction with your business CRM. We did that back in the day. It was called your Rolodex. And we all had a Rolodex, and you got hired for your Rolodex. You get hired. Your net worth is your personal brand plus your professional network. And most people don't manage that very well today. They manage it with LinkedIn and Google Contacts and whatever. And you don't even own your LinkedIn contacts. You can't even tag them and segment them unless you pay for Sales Navigator, which is, I don't know, what, $150 a month these days, which is out of the price range for most people. So imagine if you want to have your golden Rolodex, you need to go find a personal CRM that is focused on contact management, not CRM, because CRMs are built for management. They're not built for you. And so here's my invitation to anyone listening to this today. You go sign up for Nimble. And if you write me and you say, John, I really dig this, I'm going to give you a free year and I'm going to teach you how to use it just to take care of you as being part of the CRM Players audience. Because I think y'all all should be using a personal CRM, build your golden Rolodex, and not for the purpose to go out and sell more, but to go out and serve more.
Whoa.
Sounds like a mic drop there.
That was a definite mic drop. That was a good one and the right one.
So if you go sign up for Nimble and you don't have an account, just email me, john@nimble.com. That's my email. Just don't try to sell me, baby.
Amen.
And
make it personal.
Amen. All right. Well, John, thanks again. As always, it's a pleasure.
It was
Thank
awesome.
you, Brad.
Hey
Hey,
thanks
guys,
for doing all you did.
Thank you for helping me go from being a dad for 10 years outside of the technology business and building another global brand, because it was people like you that helped me to do it. And I think that you helped me to do it because you saw that I had a higher purpose, that I was trying to do something different.
By the way, your kids hate us for that.
Don't blame us, man. Don't
I
blame
don't
us.
know if we want to take any credit for that one, John. I'm sorry, your kids will hate us.
But you know what?
But thank you nonetheless.
You know what? We can't who we can't do without to end the show, right?
Yes. So
I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
On behalf of Jon and on behalf of many too. See you next week. Vegas or Miami or somewhere in between.
Thank you, guys.